of people's lives. We help a lot of people. And I just want to pledge my support to Valley Mental Health, Lori for all that you do, and Karen for all that you do, and Lori for all that you do as well, and all of the rest of you in this room that serve the public. You know, it's important for us to have good leaders in our community, and I feel fortunate to be surrounded by all of you who are good leaders. And I am also available if you need to ask more questions, or if you ever want to stop in our office. We do have a website as well where we have all of our applications online. And again, I'm glad we have the community partnerships that we do. If we didn't have those community partnerships, the Housing Authority wouldn't be as successful as we are either. So appreciate all of you.
Hi, I'm Lori Trujillo, and I am the director of the Pella County Food Bank. Our mission statement is to provide nutritional food to residents that live in Pella County. As you all know, we are part of the largest counties here in the state of Utah, and we encompass quite an acreage of space. And we have residents from the Wendover, Utah side, to Idaho, to Vernon. If you live in Pella County and have a zip code that you're familiar with, Pella County you are served. We also have a lot of people that come in from other areas, through Salt Lake City, Magna, West Valley, because some of the pantries that they visit there run out of food faster or don't give the quality of food that Pella County does. And so they come and visit us. And of course they're served for the first time, and then they're referred to the center that can help them best in their area, so they don't have to travel. The word is out that we take care of our residents in Pella County with our food bank. We receive about 5,000 pounds of food weekly from the Utah Food Bank. That food is distributed weekly to about 350 to 400 families per month. I have over 4,500 client files of people that we serve in our community. No one goes without food because we have that resource center that they can come to and they know what we're available. We have working partnerships with churches in the community, other small churches that have food banks. They're open on the weekends where we're not at work, but families are taken care of. When we put our food orders together for families, they consist of breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snacks for the entire household. When I worked for Salt Lake Cap, those food orders were to last approximately 3 to 4 days. We provide food in Pella County for the families to make them through payday to payday, which is every 2 weeks. Enough food goes out to feed these families so that no one goes to bed hungry. I have stories of children sharing bowls of milk to provide a bowl of cereal in the morning. For 4 children, by the time the 4th child gets to eat, there's about that much milk, and they don't get to eat cereal. With the school breakfast and lunch programs, we've started and we've helped with surveys the number of people and children that need help. We were part of the summer feeding program. We refer children there. Whatever we can do to make families more secure in their homes, that's what we provide. We encourage everyone that comes in as we do an intake to pay their rent, their mortgage, their utility bills, keep the roof over their head, and let us provide the food. Our elderly, they are so conscious of their budgets that they don't want extra food, they don't want to waste food, and they don't want us to give them too much. But again, our services provide, they have unlimited times to come to the food bank. Most pantries limit that to once a month. Our seniors in Pella County, if they need help, can come in as needed. Along with Valley Mental Health, if they have disabled patrons that need help, then we set that up. we make sure no one goes without food. One of the things I'm proud of, I think, right now is that we are the larger food bank in our area, so all the donations stay local. Everything stays in Twila County, monetary and food-wise. So I'm able to provide basic meals for everyone in Twila County. We're providing Thanksgiving, we're providing Christmas. The families that come in are so thankful, sometimes just for a box of birthday cake. A cake mix can make the whole difference in one smile and a thank you. The schools, local schools like New Hope House, some of the churches, we get so much produce and so much dairy and meat product from our local stores that donate to us. They all come in and they get the extra so that everything is spread out and no one goes without. So they don't have to come in if they don't want to, because our churches will provide for them. Or if they're embarrassed to go to their church, their pastor, they can come to us and no one knows their identity. We serve a lot of domestic violence victims, and those victims are taken in from the back door by their advocates, provided with food, and met with privately in the back so that no one knows that they're even in the building. So many things go on in that resource center that we play a very vital role in our community. And without the space that we're in and the location that we're in, the travel is a big issue. You know we don't have the bus system. We don't have the rail system. We don't have the taxi cabs. So everything that we do has to be local. It has to be centralized somewhere that we can get to, that our clients can get to. I've been called out at 8 o'clock at night, and Karen also. We need to get down to the resource center. We've got families in crisis. We go, we take care of it, they're on their way. People are stranded. We need to provide food that they can eat on the road. They can pull a pop top, they can stop at a gas station, warm it up, and be able to eat. There's so many things that we work together as a community. We need to be there. And like I said, we're a vital place. We need to be there. We're the heart of the community. A lot of people don't think that we really reach out, but in the summer, when there's families in the canyons, Karen's people go out there and we provide sack lunches to people in the canyon. We make sure everyone's fed, they need toiletries. It's not people that are just homeless, it's our neighbors. It's you or I if circumstances were to change.
I am a pacer, and so I'm glad that I have a clicker because I can walk around and I can still hopefully make this work. Relief services, to give you, you've got a little bit of a background as far as how did relief services come about. Our mission has evolved, and if I were to try to bring it all together very quickly, I would say that relief services provides TLC to people in Twila County that are in crisis, either because they're homeless or because of a lack of resources. The T would be for triage. Because the first thing that we do is have people come into the center, we sit down and we triage, we assess, we try to figure out what's going on, and if we have things that we can give them, if we have a sack lunch, or we have a hygiene kit, and we have resources, then we're going ahead and we're going to distribute and prioritize based on what we have. The second part of that, the link. And the link is the next most important thing because we really, in the big overall scheme of things, don't have a lot to give. But we have a lot of other resources in this community that we can link people to. If we sit down and take enough time to figure out and make a good, accurate referral, and we make sure that everybody's not going in circles and bopping from one place to another, we're going to make an appropriate referral. The next part of that is communicate, and that by far, I think when relief services first came together, that was one of the big things we kept hearing is because we kept hearing from church leaders or community groups or service groups, and people were saying, you know, we don't have a lot to give, we have very scarce resources, and so we need to start communicating, and we need to start coordinating, and we need to start knowing what's going on and who we're serving, and so that would be the third piece of what we do. I think everybody has talked already about who it is that we're being served. We do have, you know, I think some of the faces are more recognizable, and I've got a couple in this room that are going, Karen, you're not supposed to put that recognizable, but a lot of the faces, you are not going to know who they are. They're going to come in our back doors and they're going to tell me the last place that I want to be is here. I've never had this happen to me before. This is not who I am. This is not where I came from. It really took a lot for me to walk in the doors and ask for help. And these are our teachers. These are the kid that's going by on a skateboard. Do you ever wonder, is that kid homeless or is that kid just out on a skateboard? This is we've got men, we've got women, we've got kids, we've got elderly, we've got disabled, we've got neighbors. We've got people that come in, and they're coming in because of crisis and something has changed, and they're just trying to figure out what's available, and they don't know where to turn. Dan talked a little bit about the definition of low and very low and moderate income, and that's really who are we serving? This is who we're serving. Primarily it's those that are in crisis because they don't have other resources when things get tough. I'm also going to give you an example. What does that mean? What is extremely low? What is very low? What does a low or moderate income mean? Okay, in a very low income, yes. We have individuals that come in. I have, a single disabled man. Maybe he's really battling with some mental health issues. He's trying to get Social Security disability. Meanwhile, he's going to sleep wherever he's confined. And he's going to be relying on the network of friends and charity and survival skills to make sure that he can make it through night. Very low income. I want to give you an example. Single mom with 3 kids, okay, living with a family member. Family was evicted. She's working 35 to 37 hours a week on average. She gets $10.50 an hour. Gross income is $15.92 a month, so that puts her in the very low income. If she could get things settled, yes, she could afford a low rent, or she can get into a housing authority property, or she can get into something, has an opportunity to get into a place at $5.30 a month, which is a very, very reasonable rent. But look what happens if she had something medical come up, and now that went to court, and now those garnishments are hitting her paycheck, and she never gets a chance because what she brings home is $1,050 a month. By the time that we take out the rent and the car payment to get her back and forth to work, and we take out the insurance and the fuel and the utilities and that phone, we're pretty much down. She's got a little bit left, but then what happens? She had an emergency, she went out, she got a payday loan. Or she had some medical bills, and we're seeing a lot of medical right now. Something medical happened that hit collections, came back around, and now we've got out of control medical bills that she's trying to work with and trying to make those creditors happy. But right now, before she's even touched groceries, touched childcare, medical, dental, or anything else, she's already there. And that's somebody that comes and sits down and says, I don't know what to do. If we look at the low income, this is another example. We've got a young couple with a baby. They've been staying with family. House is very overcrowded. We're getting people with 12 and 14 people that are living in a 1 and a 2 bedroom. They have to leave. In this particular instance, the husband was actually working, but he wasn't getting enough. At 25 hours a week at $7.70 an hour, there was no way to come up with. The numbers just don't work. Well, guess what? They've got a little baby. The wife had lost her job, and meanwhile, they haven't been paying for their bills. But now wife has just got a new job. So this is wonderful. Now we have $1,700 of the net income with the second job. So now we have the rent. They can make that. They don't have a car payment. That's paid off. They still have to pay insurance. They have to pay fuel. They have to pay utilities. And they have to pay the phone bill. They are getting food stamps, which, by the way, is probably going to go down by the time that the new income kicks in. So they're doing really well now with this brand new income that's starting. And actually having a little bit that's going to be able to go for those groceries and childcare. But meanwhile, they've got this opportunity to move into this affordable apartment, but they don't have the deposit in the first month's rent because that's not where they've been for the last 3 months. In the past, even to do this, they wouldn't have been able to get to the groceries or anything else. They were in the negative. They've got an opportunity. They need to be stabilized. They don't have the first and last month's rent, so they're coming to the resource center and saying, we don't know what to do. Moderate income, and I put this up here at the beginning because this is in that 80% of AMI. And if you've got somebody that's making $13 an hour and working full time, you think that person should be able to make ends meet. But what happens when that person is netting about $1,200? You've got a very reasonable rural development loan. You've got mortgage and taxes about $564. Doesn't have a car, riding the bus. Utilities very reasonable. Has some medical issues, but has some co-pays, about $60 a month, has a very reasonable phone bill, has a child support payment, but guess what? This person person has had some health issues, and they've had other people in the family that have had health issues and struggling, because we've got 370 monthly collections that's coming up, and all of a sudden this person that's full-time, that's working their best, doing everything they can, cannot come up with money to pay groceries. This person cannot come up with money if they are down to their last pair of pants and they put a hole in the jeans. Because he's $260 in the hole, and he hasn't even touched those yet. And yet this individual is full-time, working, and making what you would think would be a sustainable wage. We get a lot of questions on who is being served. We have a new software the state we've shifted over to, and so now we're just able to start pulling out some zip codes before we try it by city. But so we're able to just start to pull this information out. So I pulled out for a period of time from April through September and said, okay, where is it that people are coming from? And this gives you the zip codes, and I should have gone back and put where these are all Chihuahua County zip codes. We had 21 households that, because we have some volunteers and some people that are, we love them and they're dear, but we didn't collect 21 zip codes out of this. So I took a look at those names just to see who those 21, and even though they didn't report them, I know them all. They're all Tooele. So we're actually looking about 86% of Tooele zip codes. So something that we're starting is if we're at 86% on those zip codes now, where are those other people coming from? Well, when we have them report their last permanent zip code, that's where was it that you had a permanent place for 90 days or more. So when I go back to the case manager and say, okay, wait a minute, where did we go from 94 down to 86% on this? And what are we hearing? What we're hearing is somebody came in because they thought they had a job here, or somebody came in because they lost their job, and for economic reasons they are now living with family, and so they've moved them outside of the area because this is home, this is where they were raised, this is where their support system is. But they're going to show up right now as being from outside. We do have some that are coming in from other areas. Usually those are the calls that I get from the sheriff's office or highway patrol, because I've got somebody out on Lake Point that's broken down, that's trying to get into the resources. And in that case, we're just helping to try to get them into other resources in Salt Lake, wherever they're going. Going to give you very briefly, not going to go into this really quick, but in 2011, if we were to take a snapshot of everybody that we served, about 51% of those that we served either reported one night on the street, which is about 21%, or had an eviction notice or were at imminent risk. So 51% of the total out of 1,127 households that relief services served in 2011. If I bring that down to the last 6 months, what is the biggest thing we're doing? We're doing case management. If we look at the households, 659 households in the last 6 months, that's about 1,545 household members. And what are we doing? Well, we're trying to triage. And so we're providing sack lunches, we're providing hygiene kits, coats and blankets and household items to try to stretch those budgets. The community donations, if we have something, if I have a vulnerable family that just needs a couple nights to figure out what's going on and figure out whether or not we have an answer, then we're going to take care of the motel vouchers through our community donations. Not long term. We don't have funding for long term. We have funding to say, give you a couple nights, let's see if we can figure out a solution. If we can't, we're going to have to try to get you into Salt Lake or into other resources. What are we doing? Again, utility assistance, rent deposit assistance, IDs, critical prescriptions, and urgent transportation, and that's all coming through grants. United Way, American Express, and different state and federal programs. We have partnerships with local churches and grants through Deseret Industries, which we're able to provide clothing and household items. And then we're linking. Again, this is the most important thing. Once we sit down and figure out what's going on, we're trying to find out, okay, how can we leverage what we're doing with our other community partners, and we're making referrals. This is just a quick glance at the food bank. Lori told you she's serving about 600 families a month. That's affecting about 2,500 people a month through the food bank, food bank meals. If we look at 2011, again, we had 1,127 unduplicated families. Last year we did about 6,700 sack lunches, hygiene kits. We had about 31,000 through grants and rent and deposit assistance, and that did not include a CDBG grant through the Housing Authority that we helped. They helped the grant, but we helped facilitate the PACE management, and I think that was about 62,000. We just opened up our transitional housing. At that time we moved 6 households in. We now have a full 7 households available, and some transportation. And I'm just going to go through I'm not going to show you or walk through everything, but you can see these are the types of things that we're doing requests for. Very proud of our transitional housing project, which was a long time coming. But yes, we have people that are moving, children's families that are moving from a tent. They had some income, but not enough to get into a place, and move them into our transitional housing facility. And what that takes, this is interesting. I just had one of the ladies that we work with that was sleeping with her children in a van for a long time. I said, I'd like to take a picture if that's okay, because I'd like to get a sense of where is it the four of you are sleeping in this van. And she showed me how this worked, and I was just fascinated. She has this down to science, how these things roll out and go flat, and how, I mean, you've got an inverter to do a curling iron, everything, and she has that worked out. But what does that mean? Is that we've been able to expand horizons. And by the way, we give kids over property manager, our clients, that's going, hey, those kids up there. As far as how we're operating, since 2007, through Relief Services, writing grants and assisting with grants and being co-partners with grants, we're, as of a grant that we just got through Goldman Sachs, we're at about $2,398,000. That is not donations, that's not our local. Our Board of Realtors is wonderful and does a lot of fundraisers and a lot of things, but this is the grants, and this is how we're funding the programs that we've been doing. That also funds our staff and our case managers. As far as, again, just an overview of how we're funded, mostly state and federal funds and grants and private donations. Of all else, private donations and volunteers. The county has a little bit that pays, basically what the county is helping us with and facilitating is they're taking care of my salary, Lori's salary, and then a three-quarter, office manager, and then the utilities in the building. That is being leveraged with everything else that is happening in this community. If we didn't, when we put the word out in this community, we get response. And so when I say I have cold kids, we get jackets. When I say that food stamps don't buy toilet paper, we get toilet paper. This is what the Community Resource Center does, is it identifies those needs and lets this community know what the needs are, and then lets the community respond. When we moved into the building, 4 years ago, you know, we have just seen, as we've responded to needs, we found that we have filled up every inch of the building. We've got the YES program and some outreach from Workforce Services and some outreach from, we had Volunteers of America, and at one time we had the HEAP program, and so we've had different programs in there. But as we've looked at that, and we've done our daily operations, and I'm very proud of my staff and my volunteers and this community, because we work with and we function with what we have. But that doesn't mean that we're also not being aware of some of the things that are limiting or that we're not doing efficiently. And so as we looked at, you know, there's some things that we need to address. We need to increase the food bank storage. And I know that's hard to believe, because when the food bank was over in that little building and it was full, and we moved over, we thought that new back area, we would never fill all those shelves. And, you know, Walmart, we had some volunteers come in to build shelves, and it was great. We filled those shelves, and now, so what's happening? These are the stairs that go up and down. This is where our wonderful volunteers can carry these cases of food and things up and down these stairs up to the mezzanine. The one on the left is the mezzanine, so that's where they're going, is taking things upstairs. The ones downstairs are the volunteers who are in our food bank. So we have identified one of the things that needs to be addressed is food bank storage. I know I get nervous every time we have the most awesome senior citizens. We have senior citizen volunteers, and I get very nervous when they're walking up and down those stairs. The other major issue that we've identified is confidentiality in our offices. If you look at this area, look at where the man is sitting. If somebody comes in and sits down and is telling us the most vulnerable thing that they've ever had to admit to anybody in this world, that they can't pay their bills or that they don't know how they're going to take care of their kids, everybody on every corner of that building can hear it. And so if you're sitting in the lobby, you're going to be able to hear what's happening from that person that just went and sat down. We function, we do what we need to do, and we try to do our best to keep things confidential. But that is one of the major issues that we've identified, is that we really would like to see the ability to enclose space. Now there's some secondaries. Yes, we have a basement and a mezzanine area that we said if we could use for office or storage. We would love to improve the restroom facilities and bring everything updated. The building is kind of grandfathered. There are some things that we're allowed to do right now, but as soon as we start making any major renovations, we know that we need to bring it up into compliance with ADA. Not only do we need to, but we would really like to. Again, I have staff and volunteers that run and open up doors and make things happen for are individuals that are struggling with disabilities or coming in a wheelchair, but we would really like to see that updated. We don't have a mop scene. We'd love to be able to, just simple things like put a mop scene. Simple things like, our volunteers don't get paid. The only thing they want to do is get together and have lunch. If they can come and eat lunch together, that's all the pay they need. We had 29,200 volunteer hours that were tracked last year. All they want to do is come eat lunch and have a place to go. So, you know what, we thought we'd really love to improve that break room so that we're not using the bathroom sink to pull culinary water out of it. Again, ADA compliance, yes, we'd love to be able to improve the appearance of the outside building and have, and be proud of the building. And parking issues. We have about 8 spaces. Again, we have, I think, 3 senior disabled that are in our 8 spaces. We have 1 parking for handicap. But, we know this. These are things we work with. We just deal with what we have, but we know that there's things that can be improved. When we had originally looked at the acquisition of the building next door, there were just bonus things. Wow, there's a loading dock. Wow, yeah, there could be some shower facilities that would help some of our clients. Not that that's the main thing that we want to do, but there's some things that would be bonus. Washer and dryer, increased parking. I would like the increased parking. That was something that was exciting. So as far as the timeline, and this is just leading into where we're at, what the needs are that have been identified for the Resource Center, and what the thought process was, because a few years ago, actually it was in October of 2011, when the Community Development Block Grant applications, when you go to the workshops, at that time, we had a building that was bank-owned, and it seemed like, hey, here's some things that we have issues with, and here's a building that's next door. At the time, it seemed like this would be reasonable. Well, the scope of work, it's not, hey, let's see what we can do. So to address these issues, there's restrictions in that grant. I don't know how many of you have ever had to write a federal grant, but I'll tell you what, you don't talk about it, you don't negotiate it, you don't give any kind of inference that you're going to do anything with federal funds. Because if you do it, and then you get the grant, you come back and say you can't have it. And so, I'm going to step back from being relief services for a minute and just say this is Karen, and I kind of got hit from left field when I started understanding that there were some concerns from our neighbors, very valid concerns. I've had a lot of people come in and express things, and yeah, stepping back, I get that. I see those concerns. I think they can all be addressed, but yes, I can see kind of where the thought process is. Where we're at right now, Commissioner Hurst is going to talk a little bit about that, but we have an incredible operation that is leveraging this community, leveraging our volunteers, leveraging those people that want to be grassroots and say, what can we do to own our issues in Tulare County? How can we respond, and how can we come up with solutions? And we are in a really good place to do that right now. And so we have potential right now. We have a resource that we can address some concerns. We have some timelines, and Commissioner Hurst will talk about that. But I want to say that I am very proud of everybody that has been involved in seeing from when Commissioner Johnson held the Need Summit back in 2005. And that room over there was full of all these pieces of paper with everybody from law enforcement to community groups to everybody else saying, these are issues we need to address. And we went from that to where we really, at a state level, have a lot of people that are saying, wow, what is happening? How do these things come together? How do you have this community so engaged? How is this? We've got some really good things happening. And so I appreciate all of you, and I also appreciate you coming out and taking the time to come in. And I will be here after to answer questions as well. But thank you.